Okay, hi, it's DelusionDispeller. We're back in the courtroom with Mr. and Mrs. Well, it's not Mrs. Keene anymore. Mr. Keene and Margaret.
I'm an artist. Maybe.
Maybe.
Your Honor, I call as my witness Mr. Walter Stanley Keene.
Yes, he's gonna be his own witness. Watch this part. It's
I
hysterical.
swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
So help you God.
Yes. Mr. Keene, there seems to be a lot of innuendo and contradictory testimony about the genesis of the big-eyed waifs. Would you mind clarifying to this court who spawned these paintings? Why, I created these children.
Choreography is not necessary. Just sit down and testify.
He knocked the winds out of his dramatic sails.
I had a wonderful life. I was an artist.
Okay, before we go on with this goofiness, did you see how he sat down and looked injured again? Like, oh great, that's not going to work. Now I got to come up with another tactic. And all of a sudden he changes gears. I had a wonderful life. I was an artist. And he was just like totally back to histrionic again. He didn't stay wounded for long. He lost his supply there for a minute. He thought he was going to be the actor playing both parts for the court. Probably because of what Margaret said earlier about him being a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. He thought he'd give a show and explain that, yeah, even though he can play two parts, they're not vicious. Like, one is not vicious and one is kind. He was basically playing two kind parts. But the judge was not convinced that that was a great way to go about it. And it was going to take up his time and put too much attention on Walter. I think he's got Walter's number at this point. And I've told you before, even in my other videos, if you're going to take a narcissist to court, you better know what you're doing. And you better have a judge that understands NPD and HPD and understands that somebody that is a narcissist is going to try to take control and is very cunning and successful at doing so. So let's continue watching Walter try to act the fool and try to win his case.
A friend of untold celebrities, yet when I look back at it all, to define what really mattered, it was that I was dedicated to the hungry children of the world. It all began in Berlin after World War II. The orphans were clutching the barbed wire, their bodies lacerated, their fingers scrawny, their eyes big. Miss Joan Crawford walked up to...
Sit down.
Again. The judge is not impressed. He tells him to sit down because he's leaning on the judge's, whatever you call it, podium, and acting the fool still. And they lead you to believe, you know, that he's gone on and on and on for a long time with these goofy stories. Margaret's just sitting there thinking, unreal. I can't believe he's literally trying to do this in court. The same thing he did on TV, thinking these people are going to weep and get into his little stories. But I think she realizes that the court is not stupid. She's hoping they'll rule in her favor with good reason to get him shut up and shut down. So let's see how it continues out. He's still telling all the great people that he knows and rubbed elbows with. This is called name dropping, by the way. This is another thing narcissists do. And in this case, Walter really did meet a lot of these big name celebrities, but he kind of painted himself as rubbing elbows with them like he was buddy-buddy with Wayne Newton and all these famous people, when actually that's most likely not quite what happened. So let's continue watching.
Newton alive. Jerry Lewis calls me and says, I want you to paint me and my family in clown suits. Mrs. Natalie Wood walked up to me and said, this is the greatest single painting I've ever seen in my entire life.
You're done.
more.
I cannot stomach one more wild tangent or shaggy dog tail. You're not testifying, you're filibustering. Federal courts are overburdened enough without all your docket clogging nonsense.
I love that part too. First of all, did you watch Margaret? She's like mouthing what he's saying, what Walter's saying, because she's heard it before. She heard him go on TV and say all these stories about all these people he knew, all this name-dropping stuff. And the judge sees right through it. He's like, you're not testifying, you're filibustering, you're wasting our time, you're wasting your time, and I don't have time for it. I got other cases to hear. I'm not going to sit here and listen to you go on and on with your shaggy dog tails, as he calls it. I love that. Anyway, we're almost done with this whole entire video series, but I want to keep playing it so you can see what unfolded in the courtroom.
We can stay here until we grow old and die, but it's obvious that this case boils down to your word versus Mrs. Keene's word.
Mistrial.
No, it's not a mistrial. In my opinion, there's only one way to clear this thing up. You are both going to paint.
All right, bring those easels down. Set them up on both sides of the bench.
Now, I'm not looking for a masterpiece. I don't know much about these things. I'm a jurist, not an art critic. But is 1 hour enough?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, then. You've both been provided with identical supplies. So, without any further business, Mrs. Keene, Mr. Keene, the court is yours.
Okay, pause there a minute. I'm not going to make you sit through the hours and hours that it took for them to come up with their painting, which of course Margaret had no trouble coming up with a big-eyed painting. However, Mr. Keene, Walter, had some issues. And we're going to find out what those were. There's Walter pacing around, straightening the chair, because he can't paint worth a lick, and he knows it. And Margaret's just looking at the clock going, how much time do I have? Getting out her art supplies and painting the big eye painting. Straightening his pants, trying to get comfortable. Doing some exercises. Taking off his jacket, looking over at the judge. Trying to look like he's getting ready to do some masterpiece here. He's got nothing.
Mr. Keene?
Setting the mood.
He's setting the mood.
Waiting for the muse to strike.
Well, your muse has 58 minutes.
He says, I'm setting the mood, waiting for the muse to strike. He said, well, the judge says your muse has 58 minutes. I love that part. It's fun to see the narcissist get his, I'm sorry, or hers. It just is. I can relate to all of this in some form with the narcissists I've had to deal with in my life. And when they finally paid for their sins, it was enjoyable. I have to admit it. You know, even the Bible says that the people rejoice when the wicked king is defeated. So, or something like that. So it's normal to be happy when the narcissist finally gets some kind of recompense for the garbage they put you through. Time goes on. Margaret's still painting. He's still sitting there staring at the blank page because he can't paint and he knows he can't, and he has been found out. Time goes by. Still sitting there.
Mr. Keene, are you all right?
My old shoulder injury just flared up. I have a bad muscle. It's been taking taking medication for the inflammation. I don't think I'll be able to paint today.
There you go. So now he fakes an injury so he can't paint. Unreal what these narcissists will stoop to. So he can't paint now because he injured his shoulder. Suddenly, I got a pain in my shoulder. Yeah, right. Okay. Now, do you think the judge will buy it? Wait and see.
The jury found in favor of Margaret Keene on all points. She went on charges of defamation, emotional distress, and damaged reputation.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Margaret, what are you going to call the paint?
Exhibit 224. Margaret, can I possibly have your autograph?
Two things matter to Margaret, her daughter and her paintings. And after all the crazy turns the story took, she came out at the end with both of them.
Alright, and that is the story of Big Eyes. Yay! I took you through the movie without you having to watch the whole thing because I narrated a lot of it for you. So if you don't have a whole lot of time, just watch my videos and you'll be able to watch the movie without watching the movie. Anyway, she won the case. In real life, I have yet to really investigate how the real story went, but I just, like I said, I took that to depict narcissism and histrionic personality traits, and hopefully that makes it clearer to you what that looks like. So when you see it in your own relationships, those red flags will be flying high. Anyway, it was a humorous and intense journey that we've both taken together, and I'm glad I could share it with you. I'll be looking for other movies that I feel depict different personality disorders and try to narrate them and talk to you about those disorder traits the same way, because somebody had written me, one of my viewers, and said, please do more of these are really good and it really drives the point home. And that's what I'm all about, is making it clear so that, you know, in very basic terms you understand what it looks like and you can avoid it and get help for it and get out if it's safe to get out. Anyways, if you have any problems or you need to talk with me, a life coach, I do have life coaching sessions. I'd be happy to talk with you. We can arrange that. You can write me at DelusionDispeller@gmail.com. Thank you so much for watching this series, and I look forward to seeing you soon. If it's safe to do so, get out of your situation. At least tell a safe person. If it's not, please subscribe to my video channel. Hit the like button if you liked it. Welcome to all my new subscribers. I won't name you by name because I don't have a running list of you. I just get notified in my emails. But I am really happy to have you aboard and on my channel. And, you know, I welcome any suggestions, critiques, etc. Have a wonderful day. I'm going to go and do some other things now that I've finished this series finally. I'm really glad because this was a long one. Hopefully the next one won't be as long, but hopefully it's been informative too. So God bless you. God go with you, whether it's night, day, or what time it is. Be safe, be well, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.